Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Alright, Kwam Yasharala. I want to say all praises to the Most High, Almighty Ahaya. This is the Essene Community Church of Christ. My name is Brother Shamar.
My name is Brother Tabak.
And we be bringing forth today's report. Alright, last week we went into the 3-meal deception. And we proved that the breakfast or the beginning meal, because any meal that you eat, you know, waking up would be a fast, doesn't matter, would be a breaking a fast, doesn't matter what time it is. But the first meal in the morning, that 9 o'clock between 9 and 11 period, that was a deception that was put in by the rich people, all right, the elites. And the Most High showed us that eating in abundance leads to sin. That was actually the sin of Sodom, all right? And we proved that, you know, we should be on a 2-meal diet. That's at, you know, evening and afternoon. That's at evening and afternoon. Okay? Alright. So this week, alright, if people haven't noticed, we're actually changing the theme color for the church, alright? From the church we're coming from, it's been blue and white, and we've kept it blue and white based on, you know, going in the scriptures, the fringes, border the fringes being blue and white, but upon, you know, further inspection, the change has to be made because we're under the wrong colors, all right? And everything that we're doing now is a purple or a purple theme now, all right? People haven't noticed. We've changed it to a purple theme. The calendar we've changed to a purple theme. We have the new logo for the church, which is, you know, purple theme influence as well. And we're going to go into the reasons why we've made the change, all right, and what is the biblical significance of the color purple, all right, and why would we change things from blue to purple. And we're going to go into what we found in the scriptures. You know, before that, we're going to go into Isaiah 53 and 1.
Isaiah chapter 53 verse 1. Who has believed our report, and to whom is the arm of the Most High revealed?
Alright, so the scripture we always start off with is the scripture about the report. Who's going to believe the report? The Most High, alright, chose a chosen vessel that reached a certain purity, and he would send the word of the Most High, which is Christ the Messiah, to that person, and the word would reveal what was revealed to him from the Godhead. And that person was instructed to go to Israel and instruct them in what was said. This report would have had to been believed on by the people who's they're going and who is going to be receiving them, all right? And a lot of times the children of Israel didn't believe these reports. Why? Because they didn't study, they didn't know the scriptures. It was against what some of them believed, all right? The things that the prophets were coming, and they ended up slaying the prophets. Because of this as well, and they know how the Most High operates, people will go at home in the nighttime and they would make up that they got a report from the Most High because he deals with it in secrecy, because they come to you privately and give you the report. And this allowed for false prophets to get false reports and say, oh, the Most High came to me in a dream or something. And that's how false reports or false prophecies came about, knowing that the Most High reveals the reports like these. All right, well, today we're gonna, you know, we're not dealing with the Most High face to face, but we're going to go into reports that our forefathers have, and we're going to ensure that the interpretation of the reports our forefathers written down are interpreted correctly. 1 Thessalonians 5 and 21. All right.
1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 21. Prove all things, hold fast that which is good.
All right, so it says, prove all things, hold fast that which is good. So the reason for how the change even came about, there was just a whiff in the air that possibly blue is not the color, you know, of the fringes. And, you know, usually when, you know, you go to the scripture, you're like, somebody else has to prove it. But I'm like, you know what? Upon reviewing the scripture the other day, I'm like, this scripture is not really saying someone else has to prove it. It means that you have to go and, you know, examine it. You know, some people, when you use the scripture, will go and say, oh, this has to be proven. This has to be proven by, you know, the person bringing the info. But it's actually saying to who it's coming to, this person has to examine it. We have to examine everything, and if it's good, we hold fast to it. All right, so this is what we came across when we started to examine the scriptures. Let's go into the definition of prove exactly.
Prove, Strong's number G1381. Greek word dokimazo. To test, literally or figuratively, by implication, to approve, allow, discern, examine, like, prove, approve, try.
Right, so it means we gotta test these things. Something that comes across, it doesn't mean, oh, someone has to. We gotta go and actually do the testing ourselves. We gotta go and examine it. See, yo, what exactly is the ins and outs of this that's coming in? Examine it, discern it, try it. All right. And we're gonna go into Numbers 15 and 37, and we're gonna start to examine the scriptures. All right. So, and this is a big thing because people know Hebrews. All right. Hebrews, they walk around and we see them with their fringes. And what's the color of the fringes? The border. Blue, right? The fringe color is blue. Every Hebrew out there that you see walking around has the fringe and the border is blue. All right, all the garments that they've got, all the specializing that they did for the Passovers past, it's been blue unless they want to go for different colors. But even when they wear different colors, the fringe always remains blue. All right, so we're going to examine this scripture where the Most High gave us the fringes.
Numbers chapter 15, verse 37. And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations, and that they put upon the fringe of the borders a ribbon of blue, and it shall be unto you for a fringe, that ye may look upon it, and remember all the commandments of the Most High, and do them. And that ye seek not after your own heart and your own eyes, after which ye used to go a-whoring, that ye may remember and do all my commandments, and be holy unto your power. I am the Most High, your power, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, to be your power. I am the Most High, your power.
All right, so the Most High instructs us that we need to make fringes on the borders of our garments throughout our generations. And usually when people come across scriptures, especially when we come across words that we feel we already know, like it says, oh, the ribbon of blue. It's not really a thing that you'd be like, oh, let me go see what that is. You think you know what blue is, but this shows to see that you have to go in through every word in the scriptures, even if you think you know the word, even if it says man there and you're like, I know what a man is. You don't know. You always need to go check the Strong's Concordance with every single thing. And that's what we're going to do right here. We're going to go to the Strong's Concordance definition of blue.
Blue, Strong's number H8504. Hebrew word tekaleth or tekaleth. Probably for H7827, the cerulean muzzle, that is the color violet, obtained therefrom, or stuff dyed therewith. Blue, violet, violet stuff, violet thread, violet stuff or fabric. Blue, covering spectrum from brilliant red through deep purple.
All right, so we see it there. When we go into the Strong definition of blue, we see violet there. Anybody knows what the color of violet is, that's purple. All right, but it also says blue there. And this goes along with the translators. When translators can't really translate or understand exactly what the word is trying to say, they just put a generalization and they put blue there. And when I was examining it, it's not exactly wrong, you know, it's just not exactly right. Get what I'm saying? All right, and I'll show you that. I'm gonna put in the chart, and you know, in the when the lesson goes up, it will be on the screen. But I'm gonna put in the chat a chart of colors. And we're gonna take a look at this chart of colors, and we're gonna try to spot out this color here that the Most High told us to wear. So it's in the chat. All right. So if you look at the chart in the chat, it goes from that red, and the scripture in the color it talks about it goes from the violet goes from red to deep purple. All right, and we see it. The purple starts from red, starts to go into purple, and from purple it starts to go into blue. And right there we have a blue violet. There's something called a blue violet, but it's not blue. It's on the purple side, with just like a blue shade in it that makes it that color. All right, so this is the color that the Most High was speaking about in the scriptures. But when people see blue there, they're not thinking of, oh, what it, go back into the Hebrew, what did that culture think that color was or anything. They're just like, blue, this is blue in our day and age, and we're going to make the fringes this color. And this is to show you that we need to carefully examine the scriptures, because this is not blue, all right? This is purple. This is a purple color. And we're going to go into the history of this color to show you that it's without a doubt this color that the Most High wanted us to wear, and the reasons why he wanted us to wear it, and what this color represented. Because we're in a time right now where you just see colors, you just see, you could get anything, any color you want. We don't really know the historical background of colors and how we had to gain colors to make clothing and certain things like that. All right, so we're going to go through that. So we're going to go in the article, and it's the purple significance, all right? Significance of the color purple.
Purple's rarity in nature and the expense of creating its dye gave it a great deal of prestige. It was the most expensive dye known to the ancient Israelites in the Bible. It was the color of choice for those of noble or royal birth, or those who were high-level officials. Roman emperors wore clothing colored purple. Catholic bishops have for many years worn clothing containing this color. Phrases containing the name of the color sometimes referred to those of a royal lineage. Constantine VII, emperor of the Byzantine Empire, was given the title of Porphyrogenitus, which means born of the purple room. In ancient times, the cities of Tyre and Sidon were well-known producers of purple and possessed a thriving dyeing industry. Surprisingly, the prophet Ezekiel mentions the Tyrians obtaining it from the island of Elisha and through the Syrians. The production of this color's dye was a long and laborious task. The liquid used to create it came from a tiny Mediterranean sea snail gland. Each snail produced only a single drop of the needed fluid. To produce 1 pound of dye during ancient Roman Empire times took the acquiring of 4 million mollusks. Even though it has a long history of association with kings and rulers, purple is rarely in modern national flags. Only one country, Dominica, uses it in their flag.
Alright, so purple was hard to acquire in those times, and you need 4 million of these snails to make just a little pound of dye. Okay, to show you how if you had this color on you, that means you have money, because we can't get this color. Back then they didn't have synthetic dyes and all this. You have to go into nature and find the dyes. Alright, and this dye, particular dye, was found through the snail gland. Alright, the snail, when it, was scared or whatever, would release a fluid, and that was the fluid that it would release. Alright, it was a purple fluid. right, nowadays we have all different types of purples, but that time you could only get one specific purple. Okay, because once again we're dealing with nature, so whatever this snail gave you, color purple it gave you, that was it. There was no other shade or nothing like that that you could have got. All right, because this was before acquiring synthetic colors that you could get, that they made up with, all right, to dye the threads with. So we're going to go into the original color of purple. All right, and this color is called Tyrian purple, because the Tyrians, they were known to produce it, as it said, the people from Tyre.
Tyrian purple, also known as Phoenician purple, Tyrian red, royal purple, imperial purple, or imperial dye, is a bromine containing reddish purple natural dye. It is a secretion produced by several species of predatory sea snails in the family Myricidae, rock snails, originally known by the name murex. In ancient times, extracting this dye involved tens of thousands of snails and substantial labor, and as a result, the dye was highly valued. In Numbers chapter 15, verse 38, the Hebrew word tekeleth was translated in the KJV to mean blue. However, the tekeleth means violet in Hebrew, not blue. Tyrian purple was the most expensive dye in the ancient world, and even still is today. Only kings and the filthy rich could afford to dye their garments this color. It was so expensive, most could only afford to dye the trim of their garments Tyrian purple.
Alright, and notice how most people could only afford to dye the trim. Alright, and the Most High was telling us to use the color. He said put it on what? The borders. So he wasn't giving us a big burden like, oh, make, you know, the whole clothing purple. He said just get this strip and make the strip, the ribbon around there, purple. Alright.
Could it be because too much snails have to die to get that too?
Mm-hmm. Well, they don't have to kill the snails to yeah. There's different ways. Some people do, but you don't have to kill the snail to excrete.
I guess that's
to excrete.
So I guess the Italians are not wasting anything then.
Alright. Continue for us.
It only makes sense that the Most High God would command the children of Israel to dye the trim of their garments Tyrian purple. Israelites were royalty, a nation of kings, priests, and prophets. Choosing the color of one's garments in the Middle Ages before the advent of synthetic dyes was more a question of money than a question of taste. Unlike other rare and expensive colors such as purple, blue color was readily available.
Alright, so purple was, you know, very rare. Blue was readily available. Anybody could have got blue. Alright, continue.
The most important blue dye was the indigo, or the somewhat less intense and locally available woad. Manufactured of the dye involving fermenting the woad leaves with human urine.
Alright, so even we couldn't have that blue dye. Why? Because we're going to be fermenting with human urine. The Most High wouldn't choose that dye. Alright, so these are the ways. There's only certain ways that you can extract certain dyes. So it's either you get it from the snail, or you're going to be using the human urine dye, which is blue. Okay, so this lets you know that we weren't using the blue one. Alright,
because they'd be defiled.
Alright. Fermenting wool leaves with human urine and then putting it on you, and that's supposed to represent the law. Alright. We're going to go to our land mass where we're from. Alright. They call it the land of Canaan. Alright. And we're going to go into Canaan and what that means. And Phoenicians, the people that live there, and what that means. Alright.
Phoenicia, from the ancient Greek, meaning either land of palm trees or purple country, was a thalassocratic ancient Semitic civilization that originated in the eastern Mediterranean and in the west of the Fertile Crescent. It included the coastline of what is now Lebanon, Israel, Gaza, Syria, and southwest Turkey, though some of its colonies later reached the western Mediterranean, most notably Carthage, and even the Atlantic Ocean. The civilization spread across the Mediterranean between 1500 BC and 300 BC.
Alright, so this goes to show you Phoenicia is closely related to purple country or purple. And you're going to see why that is. But take to note that these people, that landmass right there, they took our landmass. That was our landmass that they took. Right? And we had to go take these people back down. Alright, so them being in our landmass a long time, they've seen certain things in our land, and they acquired certain knowledge of things in our land, and they became experts in that. Alright, and we're going to go into that.
The color could actually range from a brilliant red to a rich purple or violet color. Blue has become the conventional translation of the word. The Strong's gives the definition of violet, but translated the word as blue 50 times. But why? It is important to note that Canaan, which later became our land, is possibly a Hurrian word meaning land of purple. So the festoon for the fringes is more than likely a violet/purple color. The love of purple continues to color our lives. I am rather attached to this rich, wondrous color in all of its tints, tones, and shades. Purple has always comforted me like an old sweater. Psychologists who study the effects of color on people say purple can be uplifting and encourage creativity. It can calm the mind and offer a sense of spirituality. It contains mystic and royal qualities, is well liked by creative and eccentric types, and is the favorite color of adolescent girls. Somewhere in there must be the reason many of us love purple.
Alright, so purple, even people who study purple say purple has spiritual qualities in it. If you deal with color theory, and those people that deal with colors, they tell you about what each color represents, and this is what they tell you about purple. Alright, that it's uplifting, it's a creative color. Alright, a calming color. Alright, and it has mystic royal qualities. Alright, let's continue.
The purple dye manufactured and used in Tyre for the robes of Mesopotamian royalty gave Phoenicia the name by which we know it today, from the Greek phonetics for Tyrian purple.
Alright, so Phoenicia actually is Tyrian Purple. That's what they called them. Alright, because they're Canaanites, but they got that nickname because they were always dealing with the color purple. They were merchants of the color purple because their land had that color. And once again, whose land were they in? They were in our land. That's our homeland that they were in. And they obtained these things and became skilled in the works of purple. Alright, continue.
And also accounts for the Phoenicians being known as purple people by the Greeks, as the Greek historian Herodotus tells us, because the dye would stain the skin of the workers. Herodotus cites Phoenicia as the birthplace of the alphabet, stating that it was brought to Greece by the Phoenician Cadmus, sometime before the 8th century BCE, and that prior to that, the Greeks had no alphabet. The Phoenician alphabet is the basis for most Western languages written today, and their city of Jabal, called by the Greeks Byblos, gave the Bible its name from the Greek ta biblia, the books, as Gabal was the great exporter of papyrus, which was the paper used in writing in ancient Egypt and Greece.
Alright, so the Phoenicians, the Tyrian people, the people that took over our land, one set of the people, they were known as the purple people because they were using so much purple and making so much purple. They were known for making purple garments and supplying people with it. Because even though we were Israel and we're dealing with the Most High, we had to trade with the nations for certain things. Solomon, he didn't have everything. He had to trade with the nations. You give me some of this, and they would bring it to the Most High's temple. Alright, so we had a people that was skilled in making the color purple. And those times purple is big. So if the Most High is telling you to get a color or put a color on you, he would have to think of how you're going to obtain that color and how you're going to make that color. And if he tells you to wear a certain color, it was for a certain reason. If we see that if you're going to use the next color, it's going to involve different methods. One was using human urine, all right, fermenting human urine with leaves to make blue. All right, we're going to go to Zephaniah 1 and 8.
Zephaniah chapter 1 verse 8. And it shall come to pass in the day of the Most High's sacrifice that I will punish the princes and the king's children and all such as are clothed with strange apparel.
Alright, so in those days, if you're wearing strange apparel, you're also going to be defiled, because to get those colors involve certain procedures, certain chemicals, certain things, certain reactions. Once again, one example we had is you had to use human pee to mix with a leaf, woad leaf, to make blue. In those times, you'd actually have to know what color you're acquiring, because to get the certain colors goes through certain procedures, which can make you unclean. All right, let's go to definition of apparel.
Apparel or strange?
Oh yeah, strange first. Strange.
Strange definition. Hebrew number H5237. Hebrew word nokri. From H5235, second form, strange, in a variety of degrees and applications. Foreign, non-relative, adulterous, different, wonderful, alien, foreigner, outlandish, strange.
Alright, so non-related, different, alright, alien, outlandish, strange. This is what another color would be to the Most High, because certain colors have to be acquired certain ways. Alright, and this is how the market was back in those days. So if you weren't dealing with what the Most High wanted you to do, and we're going to see the next color that the Most High put with this color, alright, and it was white. It was purple and white, not purple and blue. Alright, and white was an easy color to obtain those days. So our main theme color would have been purple and white, and we wouldn't have any of these other colors that would have defiled us in those times. What is the definition of apparel?
Apparel definition. Strong's number H4403. Hebrew word malbush. A garment, or collectively clothing, apparel, raiment, vestment.
Alright, so garment, just to double check, alright? Malbush means your clothing, apparel, raiment, vestment. Let's go to Mark 15 and 16.
Mark chapter 15 verse 16. And the soldiers led him away into the hall called Praetorium. And they called together the whole band And they clothed him with purple and platted a crown of thorns to put it about his head, and began to salute him, "Hail the King of the Jews!" And they smote him on the head with a reed, and did spit upon him, and bowing their knees worshipped him. And when they had mocked him, they took off the purple from him, and put his own clothes on him, and led him out to crucify him.
Alright, so this is what they did to our Messiah. Alright, to mock him. They know he was proclaiming to be, or people were saying, because he wasn't proclaiming anything. Alright, people knew that he was the King of the Jews, and to mock him, they put him in the same purple vestment, the purple raiment, and they took it off of him to let you know that this purple, everybody knew that when you're dealing with kingship or whatever, and if you're to be a king of the Jew, this would be the color that you would have been wearing, which was purple. Alright, we're going to go to more about purple in the Bible. We're going to go into another article.
Since we know that colors can be symbolic, and the purple is often a symbol for royalty, wealthy, or status, what can it possibly mean in the biblical text? In Mark chapter 15 verse 16, Roman soldiers clothed Yeshua in purple before beating him and crucifying him. In this sense, they were mocking his supposed royalty, although they were clearly doing this as a mockery since he was considered the King of the Jews. It's also a bit ironic since Yeshua was in fact royalty. In addition to Yeshua being clothed in a color, purple, that denotes royalty, other verses further the fact that purple is seen as a symbol of royalty in the Bible. For instance, Proverbs chapter 31 verse 22 says of the virtuous woman, she makes tapestry for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. In other words, she has a good quality stuff that she makes, all because she works hard and is very skilled at what she does. Interestingly, there was another woman who did something similar, but this time in the New Testament. Acts chapter 16 verse 14 states, "One who heard us was a woman named Lydia from the city of Thyatira, a seller of purple goods, who was a worshipper of the Most High." The Most High opened her heart to pay attention to what was said by Paul. So there was yet another indication in the Bible that the color purple was a very, very expensive and wealthy color to make and have.
Alright, so even the woman, alright, there's women in the scriptures that's dealing with purple. Proverbs 31, when it's speaking about the Proverbs 31 woman, they're saying her clothing was purple, fine purple, because in that day, for her to be in the Most High's righteousness, she would have to have the color that the Most High is telling us to go out there and get, knowing that to obtain other colors means certain things, alright? Meaning different things you're going to have to mix together. Some of them is, some of the things used is unclean. For example, again, one was human pee, alright? Human pee to make the blue. So we definitely weren't wearing blue because it would involve human pee fermenting, and that would have been our clothing thread, alright? And we have Lydia here, and it says that she was a seller of purple goods, and she was a worshiper of the Most High. So she's worshiping the Most High. She understood the color that the Most High wanted, alright? And this was purple.
Interestingly, purple also had a lot of involvement in the tabernacle and temple of the Old Testament period. This is not surprising to learn because the temple took a lot of time and effort into making it, often including some expensive things.
All right, and we know that the temple of the Most High was a representation of what? Our temple. All right, so if he's decorating the temple with purple, how much more should we decorate our temple with purple? All right, so it shows you the importance of purple and just knowing the history of everything, that even a color could go back and have a far history. Oh, back then you couldn't get this color, this had to do this, that. And it opens up a wide thing of history and historical things that we have to take into account. Because we always have to remember, this scripture is coming from a certain time. We can't always compare it to this time now. So the things we could obtain now can't be easily obtained in those days. And we have to go back to their style and their lifestyle. All right, continue.
So, what can purple symbolize in the Bible? And what Bible verses back it up? Authority and kingship. You want to go on that?
Yeah.
Judges chapter 8 verse 26. And the weight of the golden earrings that he requested was 1,700 shekels of gold, besides ornaments and collars and purple raiment that was on the kings of Midian, and beside the chains that were about their camels' necks.
All right, so all the kings, royalty, everybody who was royalty, this is the color that they'll be wearing, all right, purple. Even you see here the kings of the Midians. All right, continue for us.
Acts chapter 16 verse 13. And on the Sabbath we went out of the city by a riverside where prayer was wont to be made, and we sat down and spake unto the women which resorted thither. And a certain woman named Lydia, a seller of purple of the city of Thyatira, Salakia, which worshipped the Most High, heard us, whose heart the Most High opened, that she attended unto the things which were spoken of Paul. And when she was baptized and her household, she besought us, saying, If ye have judged me to be faithful to the Most High, come into my house and abide there. And she constrained us.
All right, so this was a woman, seller of purple, worshiper of the Most High. Lydia goes into more, she was helping, she was baptized by them, and then she offered them a place to stay. All right, then she would have also gave them some of the clothing of purple and all of these things, because that's what she was skilled in. All right, continue.
Proverbs chapter 31 verse 22. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land.
Alright, continue for us.
Esther chapter 8 verse 15. And Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in royal apparel of blue and white, and with a great crown of gold, and with a garment of fine linen and purple. And the city of Shushan rejoiced and was glad. The Jews had light and gladness and joy and honor, and in every province and in every city, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day. And many of the people of the land became Jews, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them.
All right, so first in the beginning we see that Mordecai was in apparel of blue and white. All right, and if you go into the Strongs, that blue, once again, that's not blue, it's the Tyranian blue, it's that violet purple. All right, that violet blue color, which is purple on the purple side, and white. But then it goes down and it says purple again, and we're going to see that there's actually two purples. All right, and we're gonna see that later on. All right, but just note that this was a feast day. Mordecai was stepping out, and he was in what? He was in white and purple. Okay, our feast days prior, a lot of us were stepping out in blue and purple, based on what we knew at those times. Yeah, blue and white, Salakia. All right, we're stepping out in blue and white. Why? Because we had the blue fringe on. We want to match with the fringe, or whatever the case was, or you want to match with the theme color that we always use, which was usually blue and white. All right, but it wasn't supposed to be blue and white. It's supposed to be purple and white. So that's what comes. We've changed our theme now to purple and white, the true colors, all right, of the Most High, the color that He instructed us to wear, and the color that was best suited for us at those times, knowing that the blue color at those times was coming from human pee, fermented human pee. Alright, so Mordecai, once again, having a feast day, this was the Feast of Dedication, when it was honored, he stepped out in royal apparel of purple and white. And he had garment fine linen of purple. And just take note of, there's two purples in here. And I'm going to go into what are these two purples, because one is this royal apparel of white, and then it just has fine linen of purple. So there's one that's royal, and there's one that's just a fine linen, and there's a difference between the two purples. Alright, but notice even at the end there it said, people became Jews. Okay? So at that time, people migrated into us. That's how come some of us, even people among us, could be from the next nation, because the next nations would blend in with us. All right, they become Jews. They would do their things. They would be persecuted along with us. All right. So we're gonna go into why would the Most High want us to wear purple and white. All right. Because what is the priesthood? All right. We're gonna go into 1 Peter 2:9. What is the priesthood of the Most High?
1 Peter chapter 2 verse 9. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should show forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light.
Okay, so it says, but we're a chosen generation, we're a royal priesthood. So if the Most High is going to have a royal priesthood, you would have to be wearing royal colors. Priests in priestly gear with royal colors on. Alright, so that's where the purple and white would come in. Alright, because we're a royal priesthood, which would require us to be in our royal garments, which was purple, and then holy as well, which is white. Alright, and that was the color for the royal priesthood. That's what made us a royal priesthood. It was a symbolic for what we were spiritually. Alright. We're going to go to Luke 16 and 19. Alright, and we're going to see that this purple color, this was amongst the rich. This was only amongst the royalty. Alright, and we're going to go to the rich man who was in hell. What was he wearing?
Luke chapter 16 verse 19. There was a certain rich man which was clothed in purple and fine linen, and fared sumptuously every day.
Alright, so the rich man who went to hell, he was in purple every day. That's what he wore every day. Alright, as a statement. So if we were in those days right now, and Israel was in those days, they would have been like the rappers on the TV. That would have been the color that they would have been wearing to say, yo, I'm in purple right now. That's my gear. Like how right now they're in Balenciaga or this or Bowman jeans and these things. Oh yeah, this is how much money. They only care because how much it is. So they would have been like, yeah, this is Tyree and Purple. You can't just get this.
It must be not up to the times. I never heard of none of those brands.
Yeah, that's the new brand. That's the new brand.
Out of my league.
Those are where the shoes are $1,000, $1,500. They're paying for shoes now in these things because of the price and the rarity. All right, and we're gonna go to the color of the beast. All right, and the woman. We're gonna go into the color of that, which the Roman Catholics wear as well, and what that symbolizes. All right, so we're gonna go to Revelation 17 and 4.
Revelation chapter 17 verse 4. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication.
All right. So, what does purple represent? We just went. What does purple represent?
Royalty.
Royalty. Right. Now we have another color that there was with. What is scarlet? What does scarlet represent? Anybody know what the color scarlet represent?
Blood.
Okay, that's one. Okay. All right. Let's go to Isaiah 1 and 18.
Isaiah chapter 1 verse 18.
Sins.
Come now and let us reason together, saith the Most High. Though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Though they be red like crimson, they shall be as wool.
All right. So sins, scarlet. All right. So scarlet would be a representation of sin. So the woman arrayed spiritually, what the Most High is saying is that this was a royal kingdom, but a kingdom also riddled with sins. That's why their color of the woman is purple and scarlet. So if we're to be opposite of that royal priesthood, which is purple and scarlet, all right, purple representing royalty, scarlet representing sins, we would be in purple representing royalty and white representing purity. Right? That's why the Most High would have us in white and purple. And the woman, all right, the beast, she's in purple and scarlet. All right, so for us to be opposite to that, it would be purple and white. All right, let's go into more on Tyree and Purple.
Tyree and Purple, aka Royal Purple or Imperial Purple, is a dye extracted from the murex shellfish, which was first produced by the Phoenician city of Tyre in the Bronze Age. Its difficulty of manufacture, striking purple to red color range, and resistance to fading made clothing dyed using Tyrian purple highly desirable and expensive. The Phoenicians gained great fame as sellers of purple and exported its manufacture to its colonies, notably Carthage, from where it spread in popularity and was adopted by the Romans as a symbol of imperial authority and status. In Phoenician mythology, the discovery of purple was credited to the pet dog of Tyros, the mistress of Tyre, patron god Melquart. One day, while walking along the beach, the couple noticed that after biting on a washed up mollusk, the dog's mouth was stained purple. Tyros asked for a garment made of the same color, and so began the famous dyeing industry. The dye was extracted from the fluid of the murex trunculus. Oh, sorry. Okay. More info on Tyrian Purple. Tyrian Purple dye was literally worth more than its weight in gold. The dye was extracted from the fluid of the murex trunculus purpura, lapillus, helix ianthina, and especially the murex brandaris shellfish. Living in relatively deep water, these shellfish were caught in baited traps suspended from floats. The dye was then extracted from the glands of thousands of petrified, crushed shellfish left to bake in the sun. The resulting liquid was used to dye cloth fibers in manipulated variations of colors ranging from pink to violet. One can imagine the smell from the process must have been overwhelming, and perhaps explains why Sidon's workshop was 14 kilometers south of the city at Sarepta. In his natural history, the Roman writer Pliny the Elder describes how the dye extraction process had by then developed. Taking 3 days, salt was added to the mash of shellfish glands, which was then boiled down in tins. Finally, whole fleeces were dipped into the mixture. When the correct hue had been reached, fibers were dyed before weaving them into clothes, and only very rarely would completed garments have been dyed. Perhaps very valuable ones might have been re-dyed.
Alright, so very rarely complete garments would be dyed purple. Alright, which is why the Most High would be telling us only the borders, alright, would be a ribbon of purple. Alright, continue.
According to historian B. Caso, 10,000 shellfish would produce 1 gram of dye stuff, and that would only dye the hem of a garment in a deep color. These numbers are supported by the quantity of discarded shells, which at Sidon, for example, created a mountain 4 meters high. Such figures also explain why the dye was worth more than its weight in gold. In a 301 CE price edict from the reign of Roman Emperor Diocletian, we learn that 1 pound of purple dye costs 150,000 denarii, or around 3 pounds of gold, equal to around 19,000 at the time of writing. A pound of pre-dyed wool would set you back 1 pound of gold.
Alright, so a pound of this purple dye will cost you about, right now, if it was those times, $20,000, to show you how much this dye is. Alright, continue.
Such was the demand for Tyrian purple that vast deposits of the shells have been excavated on the outskirts of Sidon and Tyre, and the species was all but driven to extinction along the coast of Phoenicia. The Phoenicians not only exported the dyed cloth, but also the process of extracting the dye, as indicated by the shell deposits found at Phoenician colonies across the Mediterranean. Carthage was particularly involved in its manufacture and continued to spread its fame into Roman times and by Byzantine period. In antiquity, besides the Phoenician cities and Carthage, other known manufacturing centers include Rhodes, Lesbos, Motia, Sicily, Kerkuane, North Africa, and various other places in Asia Minor and southern Italy. Tyrian purple was always the finest on the market, as the Phoenicians, and through inheritance perhaps also the Carthaginians, not only had access to the raw material but years of experience.
All right, and these people, they took our land. So from when they took our land, they went in there and they obtained this purple that was in our land, and they became experienced in the purple. And the moment we just start getting from them, because they were so experienced and trained in making the purple, even when we took over the land, we were still getting the purple from these people. All right, but our land would have been known as the land of purple. All right, because that's where all these things was obtained from. They went into our land and got these things. All right, continue.
They were expert at bleeding different species of shellfish in certain sequences of the process and adding extra secret ingredients so that only they could produce the most prized color of all, a rich deep purple which seemed crimson when held to the light. Tyree and Purple was also noted for its great durability and lack of fading. As with any luxury product, there were cheaper, if less effective, alternatives to the real thing. Purple could be produced from certain lichens or first dyeing using red madder and then over dye using blue woad. The Gauls used whortleberry to dye textiles purple, which were ironically then made into clothes for slaves.
Alright, so this whortleberry one, there's two purples. There's Tyree and Purple, and there's this whortleberry one that the lower people would be wearing. Alright, and that's not the same color as Tyree and Purple, but it's a purple. And that was what was in with the Mordecai, because Mordecai had the royal blue and white, alright, which was the Tyree and Purple, and then he just had a regular purple garment. And that's what that one would have been. Cheaper alternative, all right, that the lower class people were able to obtain. That was made out of whole workberry. All right, and we're going to go into the two definitions. So we're going to go into the one where you see blue is, where Tyranian is all the time. All right, into the Strongs.
Tyree and Purple, Strong's number H8504, Hebrew word tekeleth. The cerulean is the color violet, obtained therefrom or stuff dyed therewith, blue.
Alright, so that's that violet blue, which is purple. Alright, so that's the color you see, because you can't be confused in the scriptures, because you'll see blue there, it will say blue, and then you'll see purple again. So you have to understand what's the difference. Alright, so let's go into the where you just see purple, because we have one where you see blue, and then the other one where you see purple. And I think the reason why they did that is because the translator is like, okay, one is purple blue, and then one's purple, so I'll put this one blue to let them know it's this different one, and the other one purple to let you know this is just purple. Alright, and just that little thing, thinking they're helping us, throws people off. Alright, so let's go into where it would say purple in the scriptures.
Purple, Strong's number H713, Hebrew word argamon, of foreign origin, purple, the color or the dyed stuff, purple.
Alright, so just a regular purple. There's nothing really, you know, special. This other one was that violet color, that Tyranian purple, and this one was just a purple that they would get manufactured from a different way. Alright, a cheaper alternative. Alright, so even with that, we see Israel outside, and this is the thing with Israel, they're so focused on clothing and all of these things. They're outside, they're making their borders broad, they're wearing their fringes, you know. Some of them, they don't see you with fringes, they're G-checking you. And the thing is, they should be worrying about the scriptures first. You know, we should be worrying about the scriptures first and then that, not that then the scriptures. And that's how people lead to that. And that's what the Most High was trying to show us, that to get to his holy things, we're going to have to come an opposite way. And we're going to have to come from the heart, actually wanting to know this, and then you know. It's not going to be coming from first just seeing and looking in. We're going to have to go deep into the things, and then the things will be revealed. And if we don't do that, it won't. And there's a reason for that. Let's go to Jeremiah 31 and 31.
Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 31. Behold, the days come, saith the Most High, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was an husband unto them, saith the Most High. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Most High, I will put my law in their inward parts, and write it in their hearts, and will be their power, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know the Most High, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith the Most High. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more.
All right, so we started to break the commandments, all right, and things started to change in the law, and certain injections started to go in. And to get that, the Most High is going to have to put the law in our hearts, the inward man. So the inward man will begin looking for this. And how the things are revealed to the inward man, we went into the wisdom call the other day, is revealed by revelation. So you finding it out, not just by you coming and seeing it. You have to go and search, and it be revealed to you by a revelation that comes to you like that. And that only comes by the inward man searching for these things, not you looking outwardly, but actually searching for the deep things. And that's where the Most High was going to place his law, and that's where we would find his law. So the law is not going to come just by chilling, or you're going to have to actually search the deep things within, the inward man. When the inward man calls you to be like, hey, let's look into this or look into that, that's the Most High placing laws in there, placing things in there for you to go find and seek out. All right, and the Israelites who are not doing that, they're stuck in the old ways. They're stuck in the old laws, right? Because we could go outside and we could just be in purple now, and they be in their garments and they have their fringe on. And who do you think the Most High understand? He knows that the law is in your heart. Why? Because first of all, he knows that you've researched and you know that purple is the color. This person thinks that they're following the law and they're wearing the blue one, to show you that they're only dealing with the outward and the other person is dealing with the inward. All right, and the Most High is not looking for you to have the purple fringe there. He's looking for you to understand the law there. That's what it was for. Okay? So we could just live the law and not even have the fringes. That's what it is even now. But we could have the fringes and also do the things as well. Because we adorn the spiritual person and we adorn the outward. But the spiritual should be adorned before the outward person. So these people have their outward adorned and not spiritually. So even right now, we might not have fringes that's purple or this and that, right? But we know spiritually what it's supposed to be, all right? And then later on, we'll correct it outwardly. But they're backwards right now. All right, let's go to 1 Peter 3:1. All right, how to clothe the inner man. All right, we're going to go to example with them showing us the woman.
1 Peter chapter 3 verse 1. Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives, while they behold your chaste conservation coupled with fear, whose adorning let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting the hair, and of wearing of gold, or of putting on of apparel, but let it be the hidden man of the heart, in that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of the Most High of great price.
All right, so this is, a lot of people will come here and be like, oh, you can't wear these things, or you can't do your hair like that. That's not what the Most High is saying. He's saying don't take these things and be like, oh, we're royalty, but be in the spirit in these things. And that's what I look at greater than that. And then the outward, you could symbolize that by wearing these things, because you're symbolizing what you are spiritually outwardly, because the people outwardly can't see that. So you symbolize it with these things. All right, but people want to take that and skip the spiritual part, and now you're not reflecting your spirit, you're just adorning your outward self, and your inward self is not a reflection of that. All right, so they have to be both entwined together. All right, continue.
Verse 5. For after this manner in the old time the holy women also who trusted in the Most High adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands, even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well, and are not afraid with any amazement. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. Finally, be ye all of one mind, having compassion one of another. Love as brethren. Be pitiful. Be courteous. Not rendering evil for evil or railing for railing, but contrariwise, blessing, knowing that ye are thereunto called, that ye should inherit a blessing. For he will love life and see good days. Let him refrain his tongue from evil, and his lips that they speak no guile.
Alright, so it's continuously going down to show you what your spirit should be clothed with. And when you're clothed with this, then you could go on to the other things, because now your spirit is representing that. And you're clothing your outside to show people what your inside is like. Alright, that you're royalty. This is how royalty would operate. This is how the Hebrews would have to operate. This is how we would have to operate as a people. And then you could do the clothing. But don't worry about the clothing and all of those things before all of these things is set in place. Because these are just a reflection of the spirit. Everything in the physical is a reflection of the spirit. But people are thinking it the opposite way. That the things outside is reflecting what's inside. Alright? And sometimes people inside, they don't feel as royal or this, so they just adorn themselves outwardly. Alright? But outward appearance is supposed to be a reflection of our inward appearance. Alright? And this is how we show our royalty inwardly. And then we can have it balanced out with the riches and the garments and the hair and all of those other things. Alright? Continue.
Verse 11. Let him eschew evil and do good. Let him seek peace and ensure it. For the eyes of the Most High are over the righteous, and his ears are open unto their prayers. But the face of the Most High is against them that do evil. And who is he that will harm you, if ye be followers of that which is good? But and if ye suffer for righteousness' sake, happy are ye. And be not afraid of their terror, neither be troubled.
Alright, so it's even showing you Christ, he kept that same spirit. He clothed himself with that. He didn't even clothe himself in purple. They put him in purple. And Christ kept that same Holy Spirit. He could have lashed out. He said he could have called on how much armies of angels and stuff like that. But he understood that, yo, me lowering, the more I lower myself, the higher I'm going to raise. And Christ was going to raise to the highest point. So he didn't touch nobody. He went to the lowest point to be raised high. So it's saying if you keep that spirit, right? So because some people would be like, even if someone's going to come to kill you, you want to kill them back. But most are showing that even conquering that higher is not doing nothing. And suffering for righteousness' sake. And keeping that same spirit until the day you die. No matter who's coming against you. And even the Essenes, they understood that. Because the Essenes, when someone came to kill them, they were happy. They were laughing. Because they were already ready to go. They know that they're closer to the kingdom. They're rising to their new spiritual self. Quicker, faster. Because someone is helping you get there. It's harder when you're alive now. Because every day is a new battle. Every day you could fall off. Every day you have to be on point. Alright, continue.
Verse 15. But sanctify the Most High power in your hearts, and be ready always to give an answer to every man that asketh you a reason of the hope that is in you, with meekness and fear.
Alright, so it's even showing you someone, we have to be having that spirit. So much so that, yo, when someone comes to ask you that anything, that you're ready to give them answers and good with that. And that's the whole point of us doing this, to make sure everyone knows what they're saying, when to be said. Because this is what the Most High requires from us. To be ready at all times. This could be their one time to get the truth. You got to be able to bring that forth to them to where they can understand that. And be ready. Alright, continue, because it's going to show you why. Continue.
Verse 16. Having a good conscience, that whereas they speak evil of you as of evildoers, they may be ashamed that falsely accused your good conversation in Christ.
All right, so sometimes even if you go into an argument with somebody, if someone will sound so outlandish to somebody, but if you just bring it to them meekly, and you have all your X's and O's crossed and bring the truth to them, they're going to be like, whoa, you know what? You're right. I don't even know why I was coming at you. At first, I looked at this and it wasn't really like that. All right, like yesterday when we went into the, you know, the trickery and all of that. At first it was like, whoa, yeah, you know. And then later on you realize, okay, you know, it's something right after it was explained correctly. All right, so you always have to be ready to, this is your one opportunity. And if you don't expound what you believe correctly, the Most High's thing's going to be blamed. The truth is going to be, they're going to be looking at it like you don't know what you're talking about. The truth is nonsense. And they're now stepping on the things of the Most High that's righteous. Alright, so that's one thing with this truth as well. Because the Most High thinks the truth is so precious, he says not even to give it to the pigs for them to defile it. So if we're putting it out there, we can't defile it ourselves and not represent it right. Alright, continue.
Verse 17. For it is better if the will of the Most High be so, that ye suffer for well-doing than for evil-doing. For Christ also hath once suffered for sins, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us to the Most High, being put to death in the flesh, but quickened by the Spirit. By which also he went and preached unto the spirits in prison, which sometimes were disobedient, when once the long suffering of the Most High waited in the days of Noah, while the ark was preparing, wherein few, that is, 8 souls, were saved by water. The like figure whereunto even baptism does also now save us, not the putting away of the filth of the flesh, but the answer of a good conscience towards the Most High, by the resurrection of Yeshua Mashiach, who is gone into heaven, and is on the right hand of the Most High, angels and authorities and powers being made subject unto him.
Alright, so it's showing you the Messiah went down to the lowliest of lowliest. He adorned himself in the Spirit, in the fruits of the Spirit, all the things that was noted. He even ensured that when he was being persecuted, he died in that same Spirit, and for that he was risen to the highest state and put beside the Most High, and all powers of this realm given over to him. And certain people did the same. Certain people died for the same thing, but the difference with Christ is he was sinless from born. So he was able to obtain things that we couldn't obtain because we had a price to pay to someone. Christ was sinless. Alright, let's go to Matthew 23:1. Let's go and show you the opposite. When people aren't worrying about the spiritual things and they're worrying about what people are wearing or the first things you see, and not worrying about studying the scriptures and studying this, what's the result of that? And Christ goes into that, and you see the anger in Christ when he's even speaking about it. Let's go to Matthew 23:1.
Matthew chapter 23 verse 1. Then spake Yeshua to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do. But do not ye after their works, for they say and do not.
Alright, so what Christ is saying here, he's like, yeah, whatever they bid you do. Because this one was confusing, people for a while, and even me. I'm like, what is he saying here? He's saying whatever they tell you to do, meaning they tell you to wear the fringes, you wear the fringes. They tell you to offer the sacrifice, you offer the sacrifice. Just like them, follow the law. But you're not going to do what they do, right? Because these people, we do the same things, but we do it opposite. We're actually doing what the Most High said. They're not doing what the Most High said. They're following a custom. So when we're wearing fringe now, we're both going to wear fringe, but we're not going to do what you guys do. We're going to come out something different. When you guys offer your sacrifice, we're going to offer sacrifice to the Most High. Yeah, we are. But it's going to be something different. They're not going to be the same works that you're doing. Alright, because they say they're doing these things. They say they're following the law, but when we really check it out, they're not following the law. Alright, they're backwards. They're not praying to the land. Right? They don't know what the world is like. Alright, they're not calling on the right name of the Most High. All of these things that they're falling into. Alright? They're under the wrong priesthood. They're trying to follow the laws of Moses. They're following the wrong laws. So we're going to do exactly what they say. Yeah, the scripture said to do what we're doing opposite of their works. All right, continue.
Verse 4. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. But all their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries, and enlarge the borders of their garments.
All right, and we see them still doing this right now. All of the elders, they're worried about feast days and getting their big elder things on for the feast days, and they're not worried about the law, studying the law more, studying the things that they know more. All of these things, which is showing because they're too worried about being in Moses' seat, being in the royalty, and worried about these things and not worried about the studying. The Essenes were worried about studying the scriptures. These people aren't worried about, yo, let's go into the law today. They're worried about other things. Money in the church, assembling all of these things. Expanding out, getting more people. That's all they're thinking about. All right, continue.
Verse 6. And love the uppermost rooms at feasts, and the chief seats in the synagogues, and greetings in the markets, and to be called of men, Rabbi, Rabbi. But be not ye called Rabbi, for one is your master, even Christ, and all ye are brethren.
Alright, so that's what we don't go by, oh, call us elder or call us this. We're all brethren, we're all brothers. Alright, I'm Brother Shamar, this is Brother Tabak, and that's how it is, you know. We don't like to be referred to as elder or anything like that. Alright? We're just people, brothers who have a certain position, and that's it. We're still your brother. Alright, continue.
Verse 9. And call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father which is in heaven. Neither be ye called masters, for one is your master, even Christ. But he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. And whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased. And he that shall humble himself shall be exalted.
Alright, so people who call themselves elder and this and that, right now, they're being abased, because when you really look at it, they're not elders. Christ went into the scriptures like, you call yourself an elder of Israel and know not these things. Alright, so us knowing these things, we're already surpassed them, and we don't even call ourselves by those things. Alright, the elder is going to have to come and learn from the younger one. Alright, continue.
Verse 13. But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. For ye neither go in yourselves, neither suffer ye them that are entering to go in.
Alright, so they stand up there telling them, oh, come keep the laws with us, come keep, and they're bringing you into a trap zone. Not following the laws, not doing the things correctly, not double checking things. Thinking they're following these because they're not concerned really about the word and the truth. Finding the truth with your whole soul, all your might. They get into it and they start relaxing and they start, getting status, and the status is going over their heads. Alright, continue.
Verse 14. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye devour widows' houses, and for a pretense make long prayer. Therefore ye shall receive the greater damnation. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye compass sea and land to make one proselyte, and when he is made, ye make him twofold more the child of hell than yourselves.
Alright, so they take a person, a new person, and they make them twofold wickeder than them. Then we have the elders who's over these certain camps, and you see their demeanor. If you see the people under them, they're even way wickeder. The younger generation is even way wickeder than them. How they're talking to people and dealing with people. Alright, and how they rebuke correction and reproof and all of these things.
And total disrespect on many fronts.
Alright, continue.
Verse 16. Woe unto you, ye blind guides, which say, whosoever shall swear by the temple, it is nothing. But whosoever shall swear by the gold of the temple, he is a debtor. Ye fools and blind, for whether is greater, the gold or the temple that sanctifieth the gold? And whosoever shall swear by the altar, it is nothing, but whosoever sweareth by the gift that is upon it, he is guilty. Ye fools and blind, for whether is greater, the gift or the altar that sanctifieth the gift? Whosoever therefore shall swear by the altar, swear by it, and by all things thereon. And whoso shall swear by the temple, swear by it, and by him that dwelleth therein. And he that shall swear by heaven, swear by the throne of the Most High, and by him that sitteth thereon. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law.
Alright, so these people are worried about this, that, and they're not worried about the weightier matters of the law. The right sacrifice, right things to be wearing, the little things that they think they already know. Creation, how the world is. What's the SC, what's the priesthood Christ was following? The name of the Most High. All of these things they're not worried about. They're worried about, oh, you're not wearing your fringes right now. Oh, you're not doing this right now. Oh, you're wearing pants. Alright? When they need to be worried about the law that they're following and ensuring that what they're putting out is correct first. Alright, continue.
And have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ought ye to have done, and not to leave the other undone. Ye blind guides, which strain at a gnat and swallow a camel.
Alright. Strain at the gnat and follow the camel. Because these people will want to go outside street preach right now. And then they're going to go and they're eating flesh and stuff. Alright. The Most High is looking at that like, what are you doing? Alright. Isaiah 1. Okay. Wash you, make you clean. Alright. They're filled with blood. Blood's all on their hands. Alright. Continue.
Verse 25. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye make clean the outside of the cup and of the platter, but within they are full of extortion and excess. Thou blind Pharisee, cleanse first that which is within the cup and platter, that the outside of them may be clean also.
Alright, so we should be worried about, we worried about too much what we're wearing. We should be worried about the scriptures, getting it to a T to where you understand it the best of your ability and your spirit understands it, and then work on outside. But when we come in as Hebrews, we start working, oh, we're Hebrew, start putting on the meat tree, start putting on this, and we could put it on something that, is a custom handed down that slipped in, we don't know what. But we're just so focused on just trying to be Hebrew and look Hebrew. We need to know Hebrew, right? Know ourselves, know the culture, know the records, know the history with all our might, all right? Because some of these people, they'll go and they'll get these big borders and they don't have no extra biblical books, none of that, to show you what they're more concerned with. All right, continue.
Verse 27. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye are like unto whited sepulchres, which indeed appear beautiful outward, but are within full of dead men's bones, and of all uncleanness. Even so, ye also outwardly appear righteous unto men, but within ye are full of hypocrisy and iniquity. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because ye blind the tombs of the Salakia. You build the tombs of the prophets and garnish the sepulchres of the righteous, and say, if we had been in the days of our fathers, we would not have been partakers with them in the blood of the prophets. Wherefore ye be witness unto yourselves, that ye are the children of them which killed the prophets. Fill ye up then the measure of your fathers.
All right. So this is what they're doing right now. The things that we're bringing out, these are the things they're lashing at. And when they're reading the scriptures, they believe that, yo, if we were in those days, we wouldn't have killed the prophets. And by us knowing what we know now and them reacting, these are the people who killed the prophets. They're the same people, because we would have been the prophets those days saying these things, and they would have been on the other end arguing that. With the stone, ready to stone us.
Yeah.
All right, we just have one more scripture. Let's go to Isaiah 50, 56 and 10 and read to verse 12. All right, so this is the key. Christ is showing you that they're focused on so much things and it wasn't the law. Epstein's key focus, even when you go into the Zadokite works, was studying the law. And when they were studying it, they found a well. And they found a flow of information when they're studying. All right, and we're seeing it now. We're seeing the calendar. We're seeing how the earth is. We're seeing the Most High's name.
No.
We're seeing the true sacrifices, the true diet. All of these things we're seeing because we have to go the same path the Essenes did, and it requires a lot of digging and studying. All right, and that's what they were focused on, while the other people were focused on trying to live up to the customs that they see. 56 of them. All right, and this is a reason why in this day and age that's happening. All right.
Isaiah chapter 56 verse 10. His watchmen are blind. They are all ignorant. They are all dumb dogs. They cannot bark, sleeping, lying down, loving to slumber. Yea, they are greedy dogs which can never have enough. And they are shepherds that cannot understand. They all look to their own way, every one for his gain from his quarter. Come ye, say they, I will fetch wine, and we will fill ourselves with strong drink. And tomorrow shall be as this day, and much more abundant.
Right, so the Most High is telling you, they're ignorant, they're dumb dogs. They cannot bark, they're lying down, they cannot warn you, because that's what the dogs do. They warn you. They can't warn you. Why? Because they're greedy. They can never have enough. That's the reason why these shepherds can never understand. All right? They're looking to their own way. Every man is just for his gain. It's not pure for the truth. All right? And they're saying, come, let's have these feast days. Let's drink wine and chill. And they're thinking it's the kingdom. All right? When they're really blind. All right? This is why we're uncovering these things, because we were under people who were blind, and we're just getting the light and seeing the light now.
And if they weren't blind before, they made themselves blind.
Yeah, if they weren't blind before, they made themselves blind. All right? All right? So with that being said, let's go to Philippians 4 and 9. And what's funny is, too, because the same Tyree and Purple is the same color as the grape juice that we drink. All right? The Concord grape.
And we're in Toronto, and the Raptors uniform.
Alright, and the Concord grape also means covenant. Let me go to Concord just to show you why this specific grape is the grape of choice.
And you know what? It's not, if you open up, it's not the flesh, it's actually the skin that
produces
that color.
Yeah.
It's not the grape inside.
That's right.
It's a clear color.
That's right.
Oh, Concord. Okay, the Concord grape. It means of one mind, together, heart, agreement, and the definition means agreement, a harmony between people or groups. So it'd be why we would be having this Concord grape or this grape juice. All right. So with that being said, let's go to Philippians 4 and 8.
Philippians chapter 4 verse 8. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Those things which ye have both learned and received and heard and seen in me, do. And the Most High of peace shall be with you.
Alright, so today we went into and we showed you, the color of the fringes, which originally on the outside it says blue, but when you go into the scriptures, it says violet and blue. We went and showed you that there's a color called violet blue, which is more on the purple side and not the blue side. And it was a false translation. And we showed you that this color could only be obtained back in the days through a certain process that involved a snail. All right, and this is the only way you could get it. And there was a bunch of purples. Back then, you couldn't make any color as you wanted because you had to go in nature and find it as a thread. And this was the color of royalty because it cost so much to get. We showed you that the blue color that they will be showing, that people use right now to say that's what's the color. To obtain that color, you would have to use human pee and ferment the human pee with leaves. All right. And we went into the scripture, showed you that the land that we even went in was called the land of purple. And the people who took that land learned the works of making purple. We went and showed you in the scriptures that purple is the color of royalty. Right? And that our people's Mordecai on the feast day, he's coming out in purple and white. All right? Purple and white. Purple representing royalty and white representing purity. We showed you that the beast of Babylon, the beast right now in Revelation, she's clothed in purple and scarlet. Purple representing royalty and scarlet representing sin. So it's a royal kingdom that's filled with sin. So these colors and things mean things. And the opposite of that would be purple and white. Right? And that's the whole reason why we're changing the theme colors from the blue and white to what is correct, purple and white. Tyree and Purple and white. Alright? So with that being said, I want to say all praises to the Most High, Almighty Ahaya, for his revelation and his understanding and his wisdom and his law. This is the Essene Community Church of Christ. My name is Brother Shamar.
My name is Brother Tabak.
Alright, and we'll be back next week, Most High willing.